Hey gang, Chase here, and today we'll be showing you 4 simple cinematic lighting looks and how we created them. Now before we get started, it's important to note that there is no one way of doing things. With such a wide array of tools available to filmmakers nowadays, the possibilities are endless. The best lighting doesn't have to be complex, it just has to serve the story best. So what we've done here is made a variety of popular looks using simple techniques that can be applied to many different situations. In this first setup, we really tried to have some fun with it, and we created a unique science fiction look. A sci-fi look gives you the opportunity to experiment with the lighting of the set to sell the appearance of the film's universe. A 35mm at a 2.8 was our ideal focal length for our scene, as it gave us just enough background to sell the idea of some kind of spaceship, while also keeping our subject as the centerpiece of the shot. We wanted our key to be somewhat hard. To accomplish this, we set a 750 source 4 with a 36-degree barrel through a cyan gel. We chose to use the source 4 because of those built-in flags that gave us really nice control to create specific lighting on the actor's face. Then we set a full silk in front of that light to diffuse it just a little. Notice that we're not filling the frame to make it really soft, we just wanted to take some of the edge off it. For our backlight, we went with a 650 Fresnel at full spot, gelled with a deep red, and flag to keep it from hitting the camera side of the actor's face too much. We thought this worked really well as a light that would be coming from an alarm system or some type of warning system because it could be easily manipulated with the switch. In the background, we hung metal sheeting to give us some interesting reflective texture. In addition, we also had perforated metal panels that really spiced up our deep vista. The red you see skipping off the sheeting is from a 200-watt Fresnel to camera left, spotted down and gelled red. And on the opposite side, we have two 2x2 Kinos with daylight balanced bulbs and the egg crates removed. The one closest to the camera we gelled deep green, which mixed with the blue in a really interesting way.
Captain, we lost our front deflectors. We're sitting ducks.
The current threat level is critical, meaning an attack is imminent. Seeking immediate shelter. Attack warning red. Attack warning red.
Noir is full of hard light, shadows, and heavy atmosphere. Perfect for a crime thriller or a femme fatale. So for this next shot, we wanted to add a little bit of mystery, something moody yet glamorous. We framed our subject with an 85mm at a 2.8 and started with a 2K open face at full spot, positioned camera left in a 3/4 backlight or kicker position. This gave our subject a nice contour on the cheek. For our key light, we decided that simple was the way to go. So instead of setting another fixture, we went with a large bounce to camera left and used that to key our subject. To camera right, we set a 4x solid just to maintain some of the contrast on that side. Now we had initially intended to give our subject an eye light as well, but as luck would have it, the bounce gave us a really nice glimmer in the eye. To add some texture to the background, we bought a cheap bamboo curtain and suspended it between 2 C-stands. All of this was shot with only one light. So as this example illustrates, sometimes it's not about adding more lights, but just using the ones that you already have in play to their full advantage. With our next setup, we wanted to illustrate the versatility of high-key lighting. High-key is the preferred lighting scheme for romantic films because it's a soft, shadowless look. This gives actors a lot of freedom when performing because they don't have to worry about hitting specific marks for lighting or being shadowed during an important delivery. In this shot, we chose to frame the talent with a 50mm lens at a 2.8. This aperture really helps soften the background, giving us gentle flowing lines of texture. First, we created a book light, sometimes called a wedge light, for our background. We aimed a 2K open face with full CTO into an 8x frame of muslin, filling it as evenly as possible. Remember that the softness of a source is dependent on 2 main factors: the size of the source in relation to the subject, and the distance of the source from the subject. The bigger and closer the source, the softer the light will be. We then hung 2 large muslin curtains, which not only served as a piece of our set, but also further diffused the bounced light. Now unfortunately, we realized early on that we simply weren't getting enough exposure from our book light for it to be considered high key. It was far too contrasty. Therefore, we ended up putting a 1K Fresnel at full flood with half CTO through a 4x silk from camera right to key our subject. We also added bounce to camera left to fill them in. Horror is all about creating suspense and a sense of danger. Sometimes that means emphasizing what you can't see, tapping into our innate fear of the unknown. So for this shot, we went back to our trusty 35mm at a 4.0. We knew we wanted our subject to be silhouetted at the beginning of the shot before stepping into a light to capture a fearful expression. So we started by opening a pair of windows in the background. In the window on the left, we hung some muslin to not only soften the light, but also obscure the view outside. To add a little bit of fill, we put a 1K Fresnel with a CTB through an 8x of muslin, which lit our subject in between their walk from the background to the foreground. Next, we lit for the foreground. Using a familiar horror trope, we hung a bare 60-watt bulb on a flicker box from the ceiling for our main source. We then hung a 200-watt with CTO above that to add a constant base to the flicker. And lastly, we smoked the room out, which helped fill in our subject and added a spooky atmosphere. And there you have it, 4 relatively simple cinematic lighting setups, all utilizing the same space, but a different variety of techniques to help tell a certain story. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned something along the way.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.